Mwah. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Miss Cookie Show. It's your girl. Of course, you know who it is, Miss Cookie. So, today we are still talking about relationships, and I just think this is so important. I've had a lot of coworkers come up to me and ask me questions um, about dating older men. When I hear this, sometimes it's a little cringe, and I'm like, oh Lord Jesus, here we go. I'll be like somebody's mama, but you don't know how old I am. So this is your big sister, Miss Cookie, and I thought this would be a good time to share some information. If you are young, let's say, I don't know, any age is welcome, but if you're younger than 25, this is for you, and it's regarding relationships. So let me give you a scenario. I was working my CNA job. I'm not gonna put this girl on blast because I tend to work with a lot of people and it's happened on more than one occasion. But I'll give you a scenario of I want to say the most common personality that comes to me and kind of shares this information. So usually it's a girl, she's younger than 25. She usually like maybe like I want to say like 20 years old. 20 to 23 is like the most common archetype. And the personality is like kind of quiet but confident and like very caring and empathetic. So today I'm going to talk to you about, should you be dating an older person if you're under 25? Just because the fact you feel like an old soul. So should you be dating somebody because you feeling like every boy around your age, he's not mature, he's kind of like annoying, he's not considerate, and he is not your personality type. So you start to idolize an older man who's more financially secure, who's done with school, and you start feeling like he's more like a role model. He's like a father figure, a role model. He's somebody that you can trust and that can help you. Now, that's a common feeling, wanting to feel loved, valued, and helped and supported, um, especially when you're young. Most of us don't have the privilege of growing up in households where everything is, already financially secure. Everything has, like, your parents often struggle before they get to a place where they can, genuinely have peace and provide um, like a substantial amount. Like usually the parents are working or maybe they're not working. It could be a household where, parents are on disability. There's a lot of different scenarios. There's people who have immigrant parents and then the household, everyone in the household is working. And the parents they make education a priority and they do their best to provide for their kids, but you're still at low income status. This is not just for that, but I want to talk about it because I'll talk about that um, as well because I see it happening in my community as well. So there's things that are happening to the girls who are in the low income communities, and there's things that are happening to everybody. So I was talking to this girl. She happened to be Muslim, and she was telling me about her dating an older man. There's like two girls that were Muslim. I over the years have ended up making friends with a lot of Muslim girls because I feel like we kind of share a lot of, you know, we kind of share the same principles as far as religion, spiritual beliefs, being grounded, not being too influenced by popular culture. And a lot of them, they do like to have fun and do things outside of kind of a strict box of rules, but they always come back to their self, what they value and what they prioritize in a relationship. And a lot of them happen to be, old fashioned. They're looking to be married, have a family, and abstain from sex until they're married. So I usually connect with these girls, and sometimes I do give them advice because, you know, I'm guessing they have family and friends and stuff like that, but maybe it's just like it's not talked about like out loud a lot of the times. They kind of just go through life and kind of like figure it out and see what other people are doing and like reading articles and stuff like that. So so this is the first group of girls. The first group of girls are the girls that are very maybe come from religious households. They're out here and they're trying to find they really want a husband in their heart of hearts. But, they're entering the common world where there's a mixed pot and there may not maybe they followed some traditional patterns, but they may be exploring like going through that time period, which everybody does to be honest, because I've hung out with all kind of different girls who were in different religious groups and stuff like that. So this first girl, she said that she was dating a teacher, and I was like, oh, okay. And it didn't come out till later, but I had asked her more questions. But she said she was dating a teacher, and I want to say this is not the first time I heard of someone dating a teacher. And is it wrong that that's his occupation? Like he could have been anything else. But it's the fact that he's her teacher or a teacher in the same community and where she's going to school. Because I just feel that's super predatory. And it might not be every case, but I just wanted to say that, in my opinion, I feel like that's super predatory because it's a big age difference. Now, usually they say that they are 30 plus. And 30 plus is not old. Okay, we are, okay, I get it. Like people are out here where we still got ageism, but there's two sides of it. Like we don't want to be ageist, but we also want to have boundaries that keep us emotionally safe because in life you're going to go through milestones and you can't rush these milestones. So personally, I believe that when you're 25 and younger, you need to stay within that age group because it's going to protect yourself emotionally. There's a high rate of being emotionally abused at a certain age compared to the older counterparts. And if a man is willing to go above and beyond to get you, in his house and to have alone time with you, it purely might be like some like I want to say 10% of the time you might find someone that actually cares about your emotional health. They think it's cute you have a crush on them. They're gonna be the protectors. But even if they thought about it, they're gonna shut that down real quick. I can tell you, I've had older people that I kind of had a crush on in that when I was that age, but they never pushed that on me because I feel like they knew something. They know they have a responsibility and they have to be accountable for their actions. Like I need some water. Whew. No, Jesus. This one just bothered me so much. So I told that girl, I was like, girl, it's giving predatory. So no. A man that's 30 plus, and I think he was like 35. I was like, I understand like some of these religions and things, we're always looking at who's my husband. Well, maybe it is somebody older and more mature that's gonna help me. But no, girl, the chances are he's done this before. He'll find someone that's trying to like break out of their, religious views and that, like I said, you're a human being. You're gonna try to experiment through this life, but you should be careful about who you're talking to. Okay, so first of all, this man was on her campus. He was a counselor. I mean, think about that. That's a perfect person on paper. He's a counselor. You're like, wow, he cares about my feelings, emotions. He has a degree in it. That's your simple thinking. Red flag. So no, that's not true. He probably is in a better place to manipulate you emotionally. So that's the first group of girls. The second group of girls I'm going to talk about is the girls who are in low income communities. And they are letting anybody and everybody stop them at the bus stops, bring them to their apartment, and who knows, God knows what they're doing in there, or if they're going to be given some drugs. It's pretty sad. And a lot of these girls, they probably just need some money, they need resources, they need a job, they need help to pay bills, they're scared, they're alone. And it's disgusting because people take advantage. Now you have some old heads that gonna be like, yeah, girl, I'm gonna take care of you. Maybe they never abuse you, physically, but a lot of it's mental abuse. Let's be real. And did I get you? Because that's a red flag. You was following me, but no, it is physical abuse because you're a minor. Some of this stuff is happening to minors as well. Okay, let me read this Cora thing real quick. But I seen this um on Cora. It's just like how to spot emotional abuse and like what it does to you, like in a nutshell. I want to see if somebody's talking about this. So, hey, the phone. Okay, thank you. What are some subtle signs of emotional abuse? I'm gonna read it from over here. I looking at it. I struggle with depression, suicidal ideations, and recently my close relative came over and saw me because I was not in a good place. They told me I was a victim of emotional abuse because nothing I was telling them was unreasonable, and the fact that I blame myself for wanting my basic needs met is ridiculous. Someone says, I read somewhere that if a relationship makes you take notes, I probably expand on this, but basically, if you have to take notes or do a video diary or a diary of sorts, that's kind of a red flag right there. That something your emotions are being manipulated and you're feeling like you deserve better and you're trying to like make notes so that you remember because someone's constantly telling you it never happened or it doesn't like it doesn't mean anything. Someone says if you bring up a concern, you end up comforting them for how your concern hurt them. That has to do with emotional abusers trying to basically gaslight you and saying that when you tell them they're frustrated, they blame you. They say it's your fault instead of taking accountability. The hardest part of all this is when you get to a point where you start turning on yourself and begin to hate yourself to a point where you believe you have no value and are a burden. It's a dark place. Yeah, that unfortunately that's what abusive relationships do to you. You start to break down on yourself. You start to question your own belief system, your memory. If someone's arguing with you, they'll tell you point blank, "No, I never said that. No, you did it. You don't remember, so that's your problem." And you're overreacting. All this weird stuff. Here's what I learned: their mama might know them to an extent. Their friends, their brothers, their sisters might know them to an extent, but nobody knows a man so like a woman who's in his bed. You know why? Because sexual intimacy, it opens up emotional intimacy, and that's when you see someone's naked soul, is when they're constantly around you and you're having conversations about children and intimate relations, and they're in your bedroom talking to you about their feelings and life experiences, and you're riding around with them all day, and they're in your life, they're in your bed, they're in your room, they're in your house, they know where you go to work and all this stuff. It opens up it this portal, and that's why you see people that bounce back from emotionally abusing people, and you're like, oh, let's just forgive them. Like you see this with celebrities and stuff. They're like, oh, it's old, let's forgive them, let's move on. And the woman has to deal with the burden of moving forward. She has to do the healing, even though she's a victim.
Hey, so my microphone went out. Apologies. So I'm gonna try to wrap this up, but basically, um, I was saying that it's just not good for young girls today underneath their age range because there's a lot of mental and emotional abuse that is happening, and not everyone talks about it, or it might take them a few years to recover, and it's very traumatizing. Now, not everyone is set out to do that to you, but you should know that a majority of the time it is a really big red flag. So, I want to say this also goes for boys. There are women that are older than you that do want to date you and your friends, and it might be a small percentage of people that are looking out for you that are and do care about your emotional health. But a lot of the times it's to control you because they might have a mental health disorder or some type of disorder thinking, or they might have just abusive tendencies to where they're going to want to try to give you money to pay for stuff to keep you in their control. This happens with boys too. So this is not to put fear out there. This is just to be aware, to make good decisions. So I hope everyone can ask their heart, ask their God, ask themselves, these deep questions about who is really looking out for you, for your emotional health. Because I feel like any adult would take their time to think about it. If they are dating down, they will take a long time to think about how you guys are compatible and how they can help you with your milestones and your emotional health. Okay? So I hope everyone take care of themselves, take care of each other. God bless y'all. Make sure you stay true to yourself, true to your God, true to your heart, and make sure you surround yourself with good people so they can also help you along the way. So you shouldn't keep all this stuff to yourself. If you have nobody at home, make sure you reach out to a counselor that you can trust to help you and to keep tabs on you to make sure you are in healthy relationships. All right, your girl, Miss Cookie. Thank you for watching. Mwah.